Hey everyone, welcome to another live episode of Strong Style here on the Outlaw Nation channel. I am the Outlaw, Jon Rocha, joined as always by my brother in arms over there, my brother on the mat, my tag team partner, Aaron Turner. How are you, Aaron?
As long as you're not going to betray me like Adam Cole, since you're wearing that t-shirt, you might as well just throw it in the trash because they don't exist anymore. God damn it. Yeah, I'm here. How's it going, guys?
I'll throw mine in the trash when you throw in your iconic shirt in the trash. They also don't exist anymore, so clearly we're both going to keep our shirts going forward. I want to thank you all so much for joining us live as we start out here doing the show. I really appreciate it. Remember that the Streamlabs and Super Chats are open. Going to put the link in the chat, going to pin it in the chat for those who want to contribute any kind of support here for the show that we're doing here for Strong Style. And ladies and gentlemen, I want to say this from the beginning. Please, for the love of God, share this show. Our numbers have gone down, which is really kind of a frustrating place for Aaron and I to be, because we think we have a damn good show at bringing you some fun conversations about the world of professional wrestling from unusual points of views that you don't normally see. We're not owned by anybody. Our thoughts are our legitimate thoughts. We're not sponsored by anybody. There's no product that we need to endorse. We do our own. We give our own opinions, our own analysis, and unfiltered and raw here on it, for lack of a better term, here on the show. So we would appreciate it if you could share the show, tell all the people who love professional wrestling about our show, and build us back up again for people to enjoy it. Because our watch-alongs have been doing well, but our main show, which is what you're watching now, for some reason just can't get over that 1,000 views hump, and that it was doing consistently for a little bit. All of a sudden it's dropped off. So please do that, and let us know if you have any advice on how to make the show even better. We're always open to that as well, I think, Aaron Turner. Is that right?
100%. Just don't say something ridiculous because I'll just get upset.
Standard issue there. All right, well, let's get into it. We're going to talk about all the big news from the world of professional wrestling. Sasha Banks news, Bianca Belair, I'm sure we'll talk about as well. We're also going to get into the fallout from Elimination Chamber, AEW Revolution, Paul Wight being involved in AEW now, some injuries that have happened, and all of that. So as we come along, and of course, we'll answer your questions through your Streamlabs and Super Chats as well. So let's get it going. Aaron, where shall we start?
All right, we're going to start with Sasha Banks, the boss. Yeah. Said at one point during her interview with Stone Cold Steve Austin on the Broken Skull Sessions, which you can find on the WWE Network. Not a plug, it's just there. And she said that she asked Vince McMahon to leave the WWE at one point.
Yeah.
So if you guys recall, Sasha took about a 4-month hiatus from action last year. I'm going to read a couple of her quotes about why that happened. When Steve Austin pressed her, she said depression. Depression was taking over. My mind was taking over. My thoughts were taking over. This place was being bigger than me. And I really, really lost myself because for a good 7 years, I didn't hear my real name. I didn't hear Mercedes anymore. All I heard was Sasha Banks, and traveling on the road, we only get 1 or 2 days off. I couldn't even look at myself. I didn't even know who the hell I was. How I was going into work, how angry I was going in, how sad I was, how I was not the person that I dreamt to be. And then she went on to say, when she asked Vince for her release, he said, no, and then gave her 30 days to think about it. So Banks took 30 days and then another 30 days. So what do you think about all these comments, and where do you think she's at now?
I love these comments. You know, Aaron, we are in a different world now, in a different time. And yes, The Undertaker can have his opinions. Oh, we're softer and blah, blah, blah. But you're from a different time, my man. You're from a time where fathers abused their children physically and beat them. And, mothers were absentee. There's another time where you had a harder upbringing. The reason you had a harder upbringing is because this idea of what it's supposed to be tough. But then you had a really hard time connecting with people, telling your feelings, talking about your feelings, which is, of course, what is the foundation of great relationships, is being able to communicate about your feelings. We have come such a long way as a society in such a short amount of time from that time. I think in Undertaker's lifetime, I'm sure he's seen the difference between the way people communicated when he first got into the business and the way people communicate about their feelings now. And so to see how open Sasha Banks is being about this, especially on a show like Steve Austin's Broken Skull Sessions here, not an easy place necessarily to talk about your feelings or talk about the journey you're going on. I applaud her for doing so. I think it's very strong of her to be able to talk about this. And I wonder if a lot of people understand what she's talking about, because so many of us kind of put on an act just to live in our worlds or just to work at our jobs. And sometimes you can get lost in that, not to the extent, obviously, that she's talking about, but certainly I think these words carried some resonance and some weight for her to talk about. And so many people who came after her, after our good friend Ryan sat and wrote that article, a lot of people kind of came after him too, and came after her and came after Bayley for them walking off after the WrestleMania situation. You start to understand that there was a lot going on here for this young woman that she had to process. And maybe, just maybe, this might have been the reason. I'm not excusing it, but it might have been the reason why Vince didn't want to put the strap on her for an extended period of time, because he didn't sense from her the kind of commitment necessarily that you need to be there day in and day out to carry the belt and carry the strap. Maybe he sensed, because she was going through things, that it wasn't the right time to have her carry the strap for a long time. But his surprising patience and understanding, Aaron, is what shocks me here. And she took her time and came back, and now she's like better than ever. And sometimes you got to go through that to come out better on the other side.
Yeah, usually if someone comes up to Vince and they're like, "Hey, I want to leave the company," he's like, "Good, fuck off." You know what I mean? Like,
you're right. Yeah.
There was a time where I can recall a story where Chris Candido wanted to leave the company, and he told Vince, like, "Hey, I quit," and he goes, "You got to put it in writing." So, just something like that. Like, he wasn't trying to keep him or anything like that.
Right.
So I think he probably saw what was going on. Dare I say, Vince McMahon is in tune, dare I say.
Yeah.
So he saw that and was probably like, well, maybe she just needs some time off. Maybe she'll think about it, because, she's way too talented to just let her go out the window. I kind of wonder if this happens sometimes with people that play, like, I wonder if this happens with let's use the Avengers for an example, like
Sure.
Chris Evans, like everywhere he goes, he's probably, Captain America. Like, no one's yelling Chris Evans, like, "Hey, love you and Snowpiercer." Like, no one's yelling that shit at him. They're yelling Captain America. And I kind of wonder if, like, at some point you do get that identity crisis. Like, I can imagine that, Harrison Ford walking down the street, somebody else, Han Solo or Indiana Jones, and he's just like, "Oh God." So I'm sure at one point she was like, "Who is this? Who am I anymore?" Because all I hear is Sasha Banks, and I'm doing this Mandalorian stuff, and I'm Mercedes Vernado. That's who I am. And I wonder if that's why she changed her Twitter handle too, or her Twitter name even, to Mercedes Vernado. So people know that that's out in front. That's who she is. But Sasha Banks is someone Sasha Banks is her job, but Mercedes Vernado is who she is. And that takes a lot, man. That's the whole theory of wearing a mask, and like you mentioned a little bit, like wearing the mask in the public face, and then, who you really are underneath, kind of a little Batman thing there, little Batman complex. So it doesn't surprise me that she wanted to take some time off. It does surprise me that she asked to go from the company. That's what really stood out to me. I was like, whoa, okay, so we were really close to losing Sasha. That's really sad. I hope that everything's turned around for her. It seems like she's having the best time. Like, just the way that she acts in the ring now, it seems completely different, a complete 180 from where she was, 6 to 9 months ago. So hopefully that continues. And you always want to see someone with their mental health struggles, put it out there and then persevere. And that's what she's done.
Absolutely. And it's a lesson for a lot of people. And, people who still make fun of this stuff, they're really Neanderthals, in my opinion, and they don't deserve to be listened to. You got to create space for people to express their feelings, express their emotions. This is what leads you on the path to a better, or can lead you rather on the path to a better resolution about your life, helping you become a better person, helping you to come to terms with things. Lord knows I had my struggles, and going through the hell I went through in those therapy sessions for years brought me out of all the pain and anger and frustration I had felt growing up as a child, as a teenager, and in my 20s, 30s, what have you. All of that had to get processed through a different prism. I think it also helps Aaron that she was older. She was an older person, understood that something was happening that wasn't right. She wanted to get out of the environment. So Vince said, don't quit the company. Just go off and be on your own for a while. And you kind of get away from us, get away from the company, kind of take some time to process things, take some time to kind of find who you are, and then come on back when you're ready. And Vince was very patient to give her time. And I wonder, Aaron, I know it might be crazy here, but I wonder if Vince, because back in the 90s, like you said, or 80s, Vince would have kicked someone. I mean, Stone Cold says in the sessions, like he tried to leave, and Vince said no. And he's like, he always says no. And you're right. Not everybody gets the no. It depends on your status and the potential he sees with you. But I wonder if Vince having grandchildren, I wonder if that changed him. I wonder if that, like, he saw, hey, people go through stuff, people experience stuff. It's a different time. I wonder if that's not softened, but I wonder if that gave Vince more understanding of a situation like this and has made him not necessarily a nicer guy to work for, but certainly if he cares about you, being a little more patient, a little more understanding in a situation like this. And especially because women have now become such a central part of the WWE, Aaron, and that's only really happened as wrestlers in the last 15 years. And that's been incredible to see the progression of that. And it wouldn't have happened if Vince didn't give the okay in the end. No matter what anybody says, if Vince doesn't say, yes, let's focus on the women, let's make this happen, it wouldn't be happening. So maybe this kind of father thing takes over there. Who knows what Stephanie has gone through in her own life.
Right.
Maybe that kind of gave him some better understanding.
Yeah, I got to think that Triple H and Stephanie were in on this too, because Triple H is going to know Sasha from her time in NXT. He probably is the one that signed her and brought her up with William Regal, so he's going to know, like, okay, maybe Mercedes just needs a break. Like, maybe we need to do that, Vince, and see what happens. We're not going to let her go. Yeah, and I'm sure Stephanie was in there too, saying, I mean, she's great. We got to keep her, and we want to help her through this. So I would like to just sit down and get more of this. Like, this could have gone on for hours and hours, and I would have been, ready to go with the whole thing. But just the way that she did it, you talked about your mental struggle. You've been way out there with your mental health issues, and that's really cool. And I applaud you for that. Me less so. But I also, at one point in my life was just like, something's wrong here. Like, I don't understand what's going on. Yeah. And then you kind of try to fix it, and you try to figure out what's going on. So it's not just like I don't know. It's not like putting duct tape on a pipe, like to fix a leak. Like, you really got to get in there, and you got to peel back layer after layer after layer and find out what's going on. So I'm glad that this is a first good couple steps in her process. Yeah. It's not over. It's not over. She's still got to find more and more and more that's going on, and she'll learn to deal with that. Mental health is not just an easy fix. So I'm glad she's on the right track, but it is great to see.
And a lot of interesting things she has to say in this interview too. So if you guys haven't listened to it, definitely listen to it. It's on the WWE network, or watch it. It's on the WWE network on demand, so you can go and listen to them go back and forth. And you know what? I mean, Stone Cold has come such a long way as an interviewer, Aaron. I remember when he first started the podcast, he was good, but because he's a natural conversationalist, but the way he assesses situations and kind of improvises and troubleshoots and adapts in interviews depending on the information coming to him, he's done really well and grown so much as an interviewer. It's a joy to listen to him and talk to people now, and I love it. And it's given me a little bit of inspiration to maybe even try to do something like this for the Schmodown down the road, an interview session like this, where you talk to people and actually get into the psyche of what was going on for them as they competed, built this stuff, went through the journey. Could be fun to create a show like that. Who knows? We shall see. Down. Maybe I can sell t-shirts too. Anyway.
All right.
Anyway, let's see. Do we have any Streamlabs or Super Chats? I don't see any Super Chats, and I don't see any Streamlabs. Ladies, we got one. We got a Super Chat from J-Dog. Says, wisdom tooth yanked Monday. Feeling better today. Shout out, Jay. Appreciate it. Good. I've had those wisdom. I had 4 yanked out at once. One time. It was just blood city. I don't know about you, Aaron. Have you ever had your wisdom teeth yanked out yet?
No, not yet.
Oh, all right. Well, you still.
I don't think I have to. I think it's like I think they grew in just fine. I think is what happened, but I'm not.
That's
sure.
what you think, and then when you cross that certain line, you'll find out.
Oh yeah, no doubt about it. I'm sure my dentist is a good friend. I'm sure he'll tell me.
Oh, good. That's good. Roberto Arsenal with a Streamlab here. He says, do you think Moxley loses the barbed wire death match and cuts up his body just to take time off and be with his pregnant wife before the baby comes out? Oh, I didn't know Renee was pregnant. All right, shout out. I never thought in 2021 we'd see a barbed wire match again. Yeah, Aaron, should we jump into that as our next topic, or
we'll save that for
put
later.
A pin on that? Okay,
we'll put a pin in that. Save it for later. We will talk about it. Yeah. So we have some of the same opinions there, Arsenal. That's for sure.
No, I think she's married and I'm with my woman. So no, there's no need for that. But I like that match. I'm down with that match. All right, go ahead.
All righty then. So that son of a bitch, The Miz, cashed in his Money in the Bank with some help from Bobby Lashley to become the WWE champion for the second time. And I'm going to read here some Elimination Chamber results, some fallout here, and we'll talk about that. Daniel Bryan won the SmackDown Men's Chamber, not Cesaro like we all wanted and hoped. And then he immediately lost to Roman Reigns in a Universal title match. Right after that, Edge speared Roman Reigns and then challenged him to a match at WrestleMania, which is what we're going to get. It's the first official match announced. Matt Riddle beat Bobby Lashley and John Morrison to become the United States champion. So good for Matt Riddle, good for the bro.
Yeah.
Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler defeated Sasha Banks and Bianca Belair to retain their women's tag team championships. Who cares? Drew McIntyre retains the WWE Championship in the Raw Men's Chamber, as we all kind of figured he would.
Yeah.
And then Lashley, for some reason, maybe he was paid, maybe it was other stuff, beat down Drew McIntyre after the match, allowing The Miz to cash in Money in the Bank and win the WWE Championship. So, first of all, your thoughts on The Miz cashing the Money in the Bank. You were right. Okay, you're right, you son of a gun. I said no way it's happening. It's not going to happen. They're not going to do that before WrestleMania, and that happens. So, what are your immediate thoughts on The Miz, and what did you think of pretty much everything else?
Immediate thoughts are, next time I say we do a watch-along, we do a watch-along, Aaron.
Don't yell at me. I have plans. Don't yell.
But no, this was great. I thought it was a fantastic decision by the WWE because nobody expected it. Do you have to take that or no? Okay. Because nobody expected it to happen. And it was such a great swerve. And it threw everybody's predictions out into the ocean. Everybody's predictions got thrown out into the ocean. Now, people are on all kinds of sides of this, and people were so upset about it. Oh, he's a boring champion. He sucks as a champion. I think they sensed that Drew McIntyre wasn't pushing the needle, and they felt they had to do something here to put a little more drama into the situation. Lashley, who a lot of people called boring for such a long time, has really come on in the last few months to make a name for himself. People have enjoyed his matches, enjoyed his wrestling. So you throw in this whole angle where he helps The Miz, and maybe if they play this angle right, this has been his plan all along, was to help The Miz beat McIntyre so he could take the belt off of Miz because he knows he can beat Miz, and that's happening Monday Night Raw this upcoming Monday night after he beats Strowman. So those situations here that they've laid out, or those storylines that they laid out, are intriguing and exciting and interesting. McIntyre will most likely get the title back at WrestleMania, but there really wasn't anybody out there who was gonna make it that exciting for him to face. Now you've got the possibility of The Miz or the Lashley, and I think it's going to be a triple threat. And we don't get a lot of those at WrestleMania, Aaron. It's always fun when we do, especially for a title. So I'm excited if this is where they go. So I like that they shook things up a little bit and kind of fucked with the wrestling fans a little bit who think they know so much all the time, me included. So I like that they messed with us a little bit. I'm down with it.
Yeah, but where's this leave my man Bad Bunny? Because Bad Bunny is feuding with The Miz and John Morrison. Where's this leave Bad Bunny?
I think they moved Miz where they needed to move him. Let John Morrison fight Bad Bunny, for God's sakes.
Listen, man, I really like The Miz. I really do. I honestly think, and I'm glad that he's got the title. You know, he can run with it. We'll see what happens. And I want to preface that with what I'm about to say. I just think it's too late because The Miz was on such a hot streak when he had that talking smack promo with Daniel Bryan where he was yelling at him and he did a little work action on him, and got all the wrestling fans like, oh, Miz, man, I'm behind The Miz, and they really did nothing with it. Even when Daniel Bryan was cleared to wrestle, they only wrestled like 1 or 2 times, and that should have been a WrestleMania match for sure, and they just really dropped the ball with that. And then The Miz didn't do anything for like 2 years. You know, he kind of did the stuff with Morrison where he was tagging up. He was essentially being jobbed out to a lot of people. He lost to Tommaso Ciampa when Tommaso Ciampa debuted on Monday Night Raw. So it was kind of like, what are we even doing? And now he's the champion. And it kind of feels like, I don't know, like we've got the potential. We had all the potential in Miz to really, really run with it and lean in on it. But we're going to do it now because we have to get that Money in the Bank out of his hands. So we got to do that. I hope I'm wrong, and I hope he has a good long run with it. But I have a feeling that either we're going to get a triple threat or he's going to lose it to Drew McIntyre at Fastlane, like real quick. And we're going to get McIntyre and Lashley at WrestleMania, and Miz can do some stuff with Bad Bunny. I don't know. But I honestly would like to see Maurice come back too, because I like what she does as a heel. Miz and Mrs. is coming back. So that would be a good way to promote Miz and Mrs. right after WrestleMania, is to have Maurice back, not as a wrestler, of course, but just as like, doing that character that she does. And I really enjoy her work there. She's got a skincare company, so she can promote that too if she needs to.
Sure.
So the fact that the Miz is champion again is cool, but I just feel like it's a missed opportunity again.
Okay.
And I hope I'm wrong.
Okay. You think the time has passed for he can't reinvigorate the fans again? Because people are pissed. So people are reacting. You're getting eyes on the product again. And like you said, you got Miz and Mrs. coming back. So the synergy of that all works. Remember whenever they were doing Total Divas, all of a sudden you saw some of them popping up in storylines, popping up in things when they had been kind of dormant. Or you had the Bellas coming back for an occasional interview or doing a spot or whatever on a Raw or SmackDown. So those are those things. It's a worldwide company, got multiple revenue streams. You got to make them all connect. Maybe they felt this was a way to kind of get people reinvigorated and interested again in the Miz in this way. And, who knows? And in the end, it may be. I think if the Miz goes through Lashley, goes through McIntyre, and comes out holding that belt at the end of WrestleMania, I think people will change their mind about it, especially if he delivers 2 or 3 excellent matches. If he beats Bobby Lashley in a great match Monday night, which I think Braun Strowman's going to be involved in that some way or another.
Yeah.
And if he beats McIntyre, which you imagine will be a rematch at Fastlane, then you've got WrestleMania set up. And if he wins a triple threat match at WrestleMania against both those two behemoths, then you've got yourself an underdog that has come out of this situation. And I think the fans will be back in his side because he's got all the tools. Yeah, maybe he's not on the run that he was before, but he's still great on the mic. He's still good in the ring. He has a great finisher. And he's a good-looking dude, and people just like him, and he's a natural underdog. And so any of those things could be in his favor, and if they all combine at the same time, it pushes him over the line. I think people will be on board with it 1,000%.
It's also hard to believe that The Miz was WWE champion 10 years ago.
Yeah, that's true.
That was wild. When I heard that stat, I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
Because when he was the champion for the first time he was champion, he was definitely not ready.
Yes.
It was the wrong move to do that at that time and have him beat John Cena at WrestleMania, although they were really just setting up Rock. John Cena and The Miz was really an afterthought during that WrestleMania. And that WrestleMania is pretty crappy anyway. So the fact that it's been 10 long years since The Miz has been WWE champion is crazy.
Yeah.
That should not have happened. Like I said, during that Daniel Bryan run, he should have been given a WWE championship run and have Bryan take it off of him. But instead they went with Bryan as a heel, which did work. The whole the eco-friendly heel, that worked pretty well because we got to we got to Kofi as WWE champion, so that worked out pretty fine. So we'll just have to see how it goes with The Miz. Like I said on Twitter, like he's more than capable of taking the ball and running with it. We're just going to see where it goes.
Well, I like the fact that, once again, Daniel Bryan here putting over yet another angle. God love Daniel Bryan, who is a company man through and through, and he delivers all the time. He's had the belt multiple times. But lately he's been called upon to put other people over, star programs, and put other people, the younger talent, over. And he does it with, you never hear any kind of complaints about him behind the scenes or any kind of issues with him behind the scenes. He loves that he can still wrestle after having that injury and coming back. And here he wins this incredible match, and people wanted Cesaro to win, but like Daniel Bryan wins it, and people love that Daniel won it. And then Daniel gets completely mauled by Roman Reigns. He did have some moments where he could have won the match, but he was in essence mauled by Reigns. And here comes The Miz, and this is all to put The Miz over. And Daniel Bryan is more than happy to do it. So I think overall, you got to give him so much props for being willing to be part of these storylines, Aaron, that don't end up with him winning in the end a title.
For sure. Yeah, Daniel Bryan, always the workhorse, always the bridesmaid, never the bride. No, he's been the bride plenty of times. He's been a champion plenty of times. Whatever cliche you want to throw out there. But I kind of wonder, looking at the WrestleMania slate and seeing how that's going, like, where does Daniel Bryan even fit in to WrestleMania this year? And how much longer is he going to be in the WWE? He's got a second child on the way. And I just wonder if, he came back, he won the title, he had his run, and I wonder if he's satiated by that. Now he's putting over Roman Reigns. He wanted to put over Mustafa Ali for the longest time. Yeah. That didn't really happen. So just the way that this is all shaken out made me really question Daniel Bryan's future with the company. I'm not saying that, you can't use him, because you definitely can. You can plug him in pretty much anywhere.
Right.
But I want to see Daniel Bryan more in the forefront and less of a utility player, if you will.
Okay. All right. That's fair. Absolutely fair. Yep. All right. Let's see where we're at right now. Let's see if anything Streamlabs Super Champs can. We had a couple of Super Chats come through. Let's bring those up on the screen here. And let's see. Where's it? Okay. Leech96 says, so is Drew out of the title picture now, or is WrestleMania going to be Drew versus Lashley for the WWE Championship? Eric.
I don't think Drew's out of the title picture just yet. I think they want to keep him in it. It's going to be weird to see what they do with him and Sheamus. Do they go him and Sheamus at Fastlane? Do they go him and Sheamus at WrestleMania? What happens there? Does Sheamus cost him the title at Fastlane? How does that work? Do you want Sheamus versus Drew McIntyre without a title? I don't know. That's a good question. Lashley just kind of got shoehorned into this, and I'm totally okay with it because of the storyline they put behind it with, the Miz essentially hired Bobby Lashley as a hitman,
right?
Promising him a shot at the title. So the way that's working out, I want to see the way that works out, but you're not going to have the Miz versus Bobby Lashley at WrestleMania. That sounds horrible.
Yeah.
I don't want that at all. So more than likely we'll get a triple threat or a fatal four-way. Or dare I say they'll add Braun Strowman to it too, and it'll be 5 people.
Jesus.
And the poor Miz will be in there with Sheamus, Drew McIntyre, Bobby Lashley, Braun Strowman, and the Miz.
It's a lot of beef.
That ring will be shaken, but we'll have to see how that goes. But hopefully it ends up as a triple threat. That's the way I want it to go.
Reminds me when Hardy won the title, beating Triple H and Edge in that match. Pretty incredible title he won that time as well. I've been going on a run of title matches. I sent you one, the Kurt Angle versus Rock one, which I'd forgotten about the botch at the end of that thing. God, it was terrible. Okay, Xavier Black Wiley says, thanks. That's a great. Thank you so much, man. Xavier. Says, just show love to you guys. Have a great weekend. And P.S. No one likes the Miz.
It's not true. It's not true. My buddy TJ really likes the Miz. He even named his cat Miz.
What?
Yeah, he named his cat Miz. And he met the Miz once.
Yeah.
And he said the Miz was awesome. Like, I mean, that was cliche, but he's like, he was a really awesome guy and very nice.
No, there you go. There you go. Can't fault that. All right. And what's your Matt Riddle feeling? I didn't like that. I just don't like Matt Riddle, man. No offense. I just don't like him. He won the belt, but did you like it? Do you think it was the right time for him to win the belt, or did it barely make a dent because people were so consumed with the Miz situation?
I mean, it was time to take it off of Lashley, so somebody had to, and I don't think it was going to be John Morrison. Okay. So I'm glad that it was Matt Riddle, bro, because I think that he's a really good talent that a lot of people. He's either love or hate him, and I don't blame you for being on one side or the other. I get it; it's totally fine. I'm on the side of I really like Matt Riddle because he reminds me of a beefier Rob Van Dam in the way that he does stuff, not just because of like the bro kind of manner, but just the way that he's so athletic and so gifted and so talented and makes things that are so difficult look so effortless.
Yeah, true.
The problem with Matt Riddle is where does that character dynamic come in? Because you got like the kind of stoner, got the Jeff Spicoli kind of character. How do you make that how do you make it serious? Because there's going to be a time where Matt Riddle's character is going to need to get real serious. And I don't know if people are going to believe it if you're sitting there just like, bro, like that really hurt my feelings, bro. Yeah. Like, I don't know how you do that, but he's got the talent in the ring, no doubt about it. It's just where does that character development come in and where does it go?
Yeah. And how does he not get his toe stepped on? I'm always wondering about that. What do you think happens with Bianca Belair tonight on SmackDown? By the time we end the show, SmackDown will be starting.
Sure.
Who is she challenging?
I saw that pop up. I'm thinking that she's going Sasha Banks because that seems like a great athletic contest that I would like to see, as that GIF would say. I'd really like to see it. And, I just think that Asuka, I don't know what the hell they're doing with Asuka. She wasn't even on the show after being promised. She wasn't even on Elimination Chamber. I don't think she was even on Raw. I could be wrong. But whatever they're doing with Asuka is just completely ridiculous. And I think Bianca Belair and Sasha Banks are going to work this like mutual admiration society storyline where, hey, we're both really athletic and gifted, and let's see who's the better person at WrestleMania. So I'm all for that. I would like to see that.
Yeah, it's rare when you see two faces going up against each other for a belt, Aaron. In essence, right now, Bianca and Sasha are two faces. So I wonder if they'll try to turn one a little more heelish in the buildup, or just let this ride with these two ladies. And two, may I point out, two black ladies. Rarely do you see this going for a belt at a WrestleMania. It would be awesome. What progress by the company itself to showcase that. And of course, Naomi, the odd one looking in, who should have had these opportunities in the past. Unfortunately, maybe that will end up correcting itself down the road as well. You know, she's
hold on. Naomi won the women's title at WrestleMania 30.
Oh, right.
33.
Okay.
Whatever one I went to, I think it's 33. So she's had opportunities. Let's chill. Let's chill on that. I'm not saying that
she beat for the title.
She beat Alexa Bliss.
Okay.
So there you go. Your girl Alexa Bliss.
How dare you?
And she won in her hometown of Orlando, Florida. So they've done some stuff with Naomi. I like Naomi too. I think she's very athletic and she's got all the tools. Yeah. But I look at someone like Bianca Belair and I say, holy crap, that is someone that is on another level, dude.
Wow.
And then you've got Sasha Banks, who has got all this popularity, not just from wrestling, but from The Mandalorian. And you look at her, and you're like, oh, wow, this is their big star. Okay, so it's big star versus up-and-coming talent. Yeah. It's just the match that had to be made.
Fair. One last question about this. Rhea Ripley is coming.
Yes.
Are you excited about this?
Absolutely. And she's right where she belongs on Monday Night Raw, where she absolutely should be, taking on the talent over there. Don't be surprised if she gets that title shot right away.
Wow.
Don't be surprised if they put her right up against Asuka and give her that title. Okay. Just because of the way that she is, the way that they're building her up. That promo was excellent. I love Rhea Ripley. I think that she's more ready than Bianca Belair is, dare I say. Okay. And don't be surprised if they put it on her. This could be like WrestleMania 21, where John Cena and Batista both won world titles. And they were, that's the next generation, John Cena and Batista. Yeah. This could be the next generation for the women's division, where you have Bianca Belair and Rhea Ripley as champions at the same time. Also worth noting real quick, even though it's not on the rundown, Taya Valkyrie officially NXT. So
a lot of people happy about seeing her.
Pretty pumped.
Coming in. When do you think we'll see her next week, or do you think it'll be a couple weeks before we see her?
I think it'll be a couple of weeks before we see her. Maybe at TakeOver when it goes to WrestleMania, we'll see. They signed a lot of people. There was a lot in that announcement. Yep. I think Taya is going to be one of the first people that gets a crack to be on television. So we'll just see how it goes.
Okay. J-Dog says Banks versus Bianca. Banks versus Bianca will close night 1 of Mania. Take it to the Banks.
Would make sense. Would like to see it. We'll be there hopefully to see.
Christian Ramos says Naomi has the Ricochet issue. Great worker, Mike skills lacking.
100%. 100%, Christian. 100%.
All right. And then Leech 96 says this may be fantasy booking, but I've heard AJ Styles is trying to get that dream match again against Triple H this year at WrestleMania. Would you want to see Triple H versus AJ Styles in a boneyard match? No, I'm just joking.
Oh God.
At WrestleMania, would you want to see this?
Man, that's interesting. My brain says yes, but my heart says no. Okay. Because I don't want to see Triple H in there taking a spot, brother, from somebody else that he doesn't need to take a spot from. And I'd like to see AJ do something else. Not that I wouldn't want to see that match. Like I said, my brain says yes, my heart says no.
Fair enough. Jeremy says Rhea needs the Raw belt since she's officially on the main roster,
and I think that's what they're going to do. Asuka's so flat, they really need to do something, and Rhea Ripley would be such a shot in the arm to that. Just do it.
What are we talking about? Maybe a rematch here at WrestleMania for the title, for the women's title.
I don't think so. I don't think so, and I don't think we're going to get it at unless you're gonna. Well, you could have Rhea win. Could do that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So. Get it back with Rhea. Gramash says, have to respond to John's criticisms. Sting looked better this week on AEW than he ever looked when he was in WWE. Thoughts on Darby on a zip line? Fire! All right, we will get to that, Gramash, in just a second. I got one Streamlab that came through. We will talk AEW and all that.
It's on the rundown. What's coming next?
Definitely. Hill Nellum's donated. Thank you, Hill. You're always very kind with your donations. He says, I'm fine with Riddle winning, but I really think it was supposed to be Keith Lee in that spot.
I think so too.
Yep. If all the COVID stuff didn't happen, I think he would be the U.S. champ. I think Matt Riddle versus Keith Lee is next. Do you think that's next once he gets through the COVID protocol?
That sounds awesome. I would love to see that. I know they've gone at it on the indies a bunch of times, so I would really like to see that match. That's a good athletic contest. And yeah, give me that.
Who's the heel in that situation? Has Keith Lee?
I guess you wouldn't have one.
Yeah, you'd have to turn somebody heel. Maybe Matt
You
Riddle.
don't have to.
Matt Riddle's tailor-made to be a heel, please.
Why? Because he's an asshole? Like because he's like a bro asshole? Like
a bro hole? Yeah, I don't like
bro hole. Okay. You don't like him?
I don't like it.
Why? Because he reminds you of everybody in California? Like what's
yeah, that I didn't like. And would have me pay for their tacos. I'm sick of it.
Oh, bro.
I'm just joking, bro. But bro. I don't disrespect Matt Riddle making a career, making money. I'm not saying that. But I'm just not the biggest fan of Matt Riddle personally.
Matt Riddle, you got to give him credit for pulling the wool over everybody's eyes, like doing this whole bro Spicoli thing, and he's from Pennsylvania. So I really like that. That's awesome. Because everybody's like, oh, he's from California. He's got to be from California. No, he's from Pennsylvania.
I don't think Hogan's from Florida, is he? So,
Yeah, he is. He is.
Where's he from, Marissa? I thought he's from Venice Beach. Oh, no, sorry. He's from Florida, but he convinced everybody.
I was going to say, come on now, Rocha. The reverse. Don't play yourself.
I apologize.
He's from Florida. Don't play yourself.
All right. Let's jump into it. And Gramash will address your criticisms of me and my criticisms. Let's jump into some AEW news. Aaron, what do we got next?
So we got a bunch of stuff here. It's just kind of rolled into one. So first of all, we'll talk about Sting. We'll talk about the Sting follow-up here. Gramash, you're going to like this because I was reading a story this week that said Sting allegedly wore back protection and was possibly slammed on a gimmicked part of the ring. A soft part by Brian Cage as to not get hurt. And Tony Khan said this week that Sting is 100% cleared to wrestle, cleared for competition, no restrictions. So what do you think about that? And please respond to Gramash.
Well, I mean, I guess you could look good if they stage it for you to look good. And if you're wearing the back protection, all this, I mean, how far out are we going with this situation? Will he wrestle inside a bubble next, like a bubble boy? Is that what we're going to do next? I'm just saying, like, at some point, you're trying to belabor the point. He's 61 years old. I don't want to see a 61-year-old dude in the ring taking bumps. This is what concerns me and scares me. That being said, he's a young 61. He looks fantastic for 61. I hope I look that good whenever I get there in 30 years. But I think he's fantastic for this. But in the end, how are you going to trust him to keep going in there and taking the bumps and taking the hits and having to put all specialized stuff around him? Do you think that's going to, in the end, backfire down the road as more and more of this comes out? Because it doesn't make it look like he's, a man handling the toughness. It makes it look like they're making sure he doesn't get hurt and they're shooting him with kid gloves and making it tender and making it as soft as possible for him. So I don't know if that necessarily works overall. That being said, I love seeing Sting on screen, man. I can't deny that.
Yeah, I kind of had a feeling that when Brian Cage picked him up right there at that part of the ring, I was like, this feels a little weird. But yeah, the fact that he's 100% cleared to wrestle really kind of threw me. Like the fact that Tony Khan wanted to get that out of the way. He's like, listen, he's 100% cleared.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it. And Darby on a zip line was pretty fun, though. Please don't do that because we've seen with Owen Hart, shit can go wrong. Don't do that. Yeah. It's no need to do that shit.
Yeah.
But that's just a minor criticism.
Yeah.
The fact that Sting is going to wrestle again, once again, in my brain says no. My heart says yes. Yeah. Yes. I want to see it. And he did the Stinger Splash, man. I mean, come on. He did the Stinger Splash.
I know.
It was awesome.
It was.
It's just cool to see Sting out there again. And I know I rant about Goldberg all the time. Like, get Goldberg out there. Get Goldberg far away from a wrestling ring, please.
That's a different argument, right? Because Goldberg has a limited skill set, whereas Sting is a accomplished wrestler. I think that's a different argument.
Sting is definitely an accomplished wrestler, but what can you do? It's different from a 38-year-old Sting and a 61-year-old Sting. Yeah, like, you trust him to get that tuck when you need to get that tuck on the slam. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I look at this situation, this entire thing with Sting, and I just can't help but get excited to see it, and I don't know what's wrong with me. So we probably need to stop talking about it, to be honest with you.
All right. Well, let's move on to some Paul Wight news then, brother. Take us through that.
Well, hold on. We're not done. We're not done with the AEW. We'll get to Paul Wight. We'll get to Paul Wight. Believe me.
It's only later on the rundown because this guy hates Paul Wight. But go ahead.
And it was like the latest news of the week. Hold on, man. So Anna Jay was supposed to take on Dr. Britt Baker in the first round of the AEW Women's Title Tournament. She had a shoulder injury. She's going to be out for 6 to 12 months.
Wow.
Which is really harsh considering that Anna Jay in the Dark Order, I mean, she's very young. I think she's like 19 or 20. Very young, only had 19 professional matches. But people have a lot of faith in Anna Jay that she can be one of the next great female talents. I like what I've seen from her so far. She just needs to work on that promo stuff, of course, and that'll come because she's so young. But, Anna Jay being injured is really detrimental during this period of time where she really needs the room to grow. And there's nothing she can do about it. I'm not saying, like, how dare you? Like, it's not like she got injured in a motorcycle accident or something that she could have prevented. It happened in the ring. Shit happens. So what do you kind of think about this? And what do you think about a young star missing some time here?
If it's going to happen, this is when it should happen. 19 years old, whatever. Your body can recover a lot quicker than if you're 30 years old having a shoulder injury like this. So yes, it's unfortunate. Yes, she was on the rise, but like you said, she's at 18, 19 professional matches. So she's still building a resume. Going out for a year does kind of suck, but her Instagram game is strong, bro. Her social media game is strong, bro. So I think she is going to be fine keeping people up to date on what she's doing and what she's got going on in her life. And trust me, as we've seen, man, 6 months can go like that. We're already 1 week away from the end of WandaVision, ladies and gentlemen. That's kind of crazy how we've already gone through that entire series almost. So those are things we're about to enter into March, and it feels like January was like a week ago. So this is what can happen in the world we live in now. Everything moves fast. Everything grabs our attention quickly. And before you know it, she's going to be back in the ring. So it's an unfortunate situation. But because she's young, I think she bounces back stronger, bounces back quicker. Hopefully she listens to her doctors. She doesn't push herself. Young people love to push themselves. Takes her time so she doesn't re-injure herself in this rush to get back in the ring. She's doing fine. She's got hundreds of thousands of followers on her social media accounts. Just keep them abreast of what you're doing. Build out your influencer cred in that way. And then when you get back in the ring, you'll have an even stronger fan base who's been waiting for you to come back. That's the difference between getting hurt 20 years ago and getting hurt now. There are people way more invested who can check in with you daily to see your progress and build up their anticipation for your return.
It's another blow to that AEW women's division because, COVID kept a lot of their people away. And then you have Brandy, who's pregnant. Can't help that. That's just something. So she's gone. So they had to end up changing that match with Shaq. Yeah. And then you have Anna Jay, who's injured. Then you have Chris Statlander, who was also injured this past year. Yeah. So it's just kind of a lot. It's kind of a lot going on in the AEW women's division. And I got to say real quick, before we get to anything else, the fact that Nyla Rose beat Dr. Britt Baker in the women's title tournament, complete bullshit and hated it. What a terrible decision when you have one of the best up-and-coming women. Anyway, like Britt Baker has really turned on a dime from where she was to where she is now. She's a great heel work. And I think she should dethrone Sheeta and become the women's champion. And then she loses on TV in like a so-so match. Like, come on, dude. Like, what are you even doing? That really grinded my gears this week when I was watching AEW. That's
fair. And maybe she was scheduled to lose against Anna Jay, so they just went ahead with that program. You don't think so?
Okay. No way. No, sir. Do you want to get to some Streamlabs or Super Chats, or do you want me to do the Kenny Omega thing?
Here we go. Well, it's a big show. I don't blame him after the Legends Night Raw for going to AEW. WWE buried Big Show on the Legends Night with Orton, according to Leech 96. Do you agree with that?
That they buried him?
Yeah.
I guess. I mean, come on. Like, we'll get to it in a minute. Like, let's put a pin in this one, and we'll talk about it in a minute.
Talk about it. All right. Josh Mabry jumping in. Good to see you, Josh. He said, thoughts on Tony Khan being named Wrestling Observer's Booker and Promoter of the Year over Vince and Dana White. Well, I would definitely put him over Dana White, but over Vince. What do you think there, Aaron?
Come on, dude. Like, what are you even talking about? Like, this is the most ridiculous thing that people are getting worked up about. Like, who cares? It's the Wrestling Observer Awards. And guess what? In my awards, I have Dana White as the promoter of the year because he had a fight island. Now, are people going to get mad about that? I don't know. Like, come on. Like, what? Like, it means nothing. It means nothing to me. Yeah. I know that it probably means a lot to Tony Khan that his boy Dave Meltzer gave him a pat on the back, but it doesn't mean anything. I'm sorry.
It can't mean anything to me. Dave Meltzer blocked me for coming in. So, yeah, he did. Back when we were doing the reviews on Collider, I defended Ryan Satin on Twitter during some battle Ryan was having with him, and Meltzer blocked me, and he's never unblocked me. So I have three people I've been blocked by on the list: Dave Meltzer, William Shatner, and Gina Carano. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. So I have a little bit of cred, I guess, in the world of social media in that way. All right, what's next? What do we got, Aaron?
All right, so we'll talk real quick about this Kenny Omega and Jon Moxley in a barbed wire bomb death match thing that's happening at AEW Revolution for the AEW World Heavyweight Championship. So my question is, in 2021, why the fuck is this happening on a promotion that is on weekly television and not happening in some backyard country bar somewhere? What the fuck is this? Like, I hate it so much that I just can't deal with it. Like, when I heard that was happening, I said, why are you fucking doing this? And it's just because Tony Khan is like wanting to play with his toys and like, haha, we're going to do this. And like, if you want to try to compete with Vince McMahon, or you want to try to compete with the WWE, you're going for the wrong audience, dude, because this is not the one that's going to put you over the top. I'm sorry. It's just the word deathmatch just makes me want to cringe anyway.
Really? Okay.
No deathmatch. Just fuck deathmatch. So I don't know what you thought about it, but I hate it and I don't want to see it.
I'm down with it. I mean, I loved when Terry Funk did these things, when Mick Foley did these things. I was a fan of it. So sometimes what's
30 years ago?
Yeah, sure. But sometimes what's old is new again. Just like when they trot out that lumberjack match, when they trot out the four corners, the leather strap match, the Texas, whatever it's called, they trot out all those matches every once in a while so that you can have a little fun remembering or revisiting pro wrestling's history. There's nothing wrong with going back in time for one match and having a little fun with it. I got no issue with it. But I'm concerned about what kind of damage you're going to do to both of these wrestlers in this match. Do you know what I'm saying? These are both of your premier wrestlers that are, in essence, 1-2 on the roster here. Aaron, what kind of damage are you going to inflict on both of these men that could, be negative for your product overall? You know, Vince doesn't like blading or blood anymore, but AEW doesn't have to worry about that shit because they're still an upstart, up-and-coming federation on TNT. They can occasionally go to the blood stuff and have a little fun with it. There's nothing wrong with that. I think there is an audience for it. The question becomes, like, what's the overall end goal of this situation, of this decision to have a barbed wire match? That's the thing. Has the feud really built up that much animosity to end up in a barbed wire match? I don't think it has quite yet. I think they're jumping a couple of steps a little bit. But that being said, these are two incredibly talented men. You throw in the barbed wire X factor, and who knows what can happen.
I cannot believe you. Listen, I know the barbed wire is gimmicked. I know the bombs are gimmicked. I'm not an idiot. Like, I understand that these things are happening, but why? Why are we doing this? Like, what about a cage match? What about a wait a fucking
minute. You got an issue with a barbed wire match, but a cage match, which we've seen ad nauseum for 40 fucking years, you don't have a problem with? I don't understand.
I wasn't done. Hold on. What if you want to do something like different, but like, okay, we're gonna put our own spin on it? Why don't you take a steel cage and put barbed wire on the top, and then lock the door and be like, listen, this match ends when someone can't walk out that damn door. That's when it ends. Okay. If you want to do something like that, so you literally, like, you know, Kenny Omega's got the Good Brothers with him that always interfere now, and Don Callis. Jon Moxley doesn't really have any backup, so now that keeps them out with the barbed wire because they can't get in, and the door's locked, so they can't get in. And it's just, I think that makes much more sense to do something like that than to do like a death match where something crazy could happen. Jon Moxley, gets hurt real bad. Kenny Omega gets hurt real bad, and you're losing your cash cows. You're going to lose Jon Moxley anyway because he's going to go on paternity leave at some point. You're going to lose him for a little bit, which tells me he's going to lose this match.
Right.
So I don't understand the risk in taking it. I have to wait and see. But the word death match just makes me want to. No death match in 2021. Thank you.
I can respect that. I I always appreciate your points of views, Aaron, whether we agree or not. I always appreciate them, and I get it. But it just shocks me that you'd have an issue with this. I guess you've moved on mentally and emotionally from those times, but a lot of us love going back and watching some of those matches and the mania of some of those matches. And these guys who wrestle now, a lot of them remember those matches. Those are the matches they grew up loving. So they might be inclined to be a part of these matches because they grew up loving them so much as young wrestling fans. So being a part of one excites them at this stage in their career. Of course, a lot of people are speculating, like you just said, that this is being done so that Moxley can take a break. He's going to take a beating, so he's going to take a break and be there for Renee Young, who's having their baby, and let Kenny Omega move forward with a victory in such a brutal match. So I don't know. I think they're just trying to throw all kinds of things in there. You got people like Tully Blanchard and Arn Anderson and Taz and Sting. And so they're hearkening back to the old school wrestling here, Aaron. So it's not a surprise overall. And who they brought in, which we're going to get to in a little bit, is also not a surprise. Also hearkening back to a time in the 90s when these kinds of matches and this kind of approach to booking wasn't a negative.
You say so, buddy. You say so. I'm sorry. Who did AEW bring somebody in that I wasn't aware of? Who did they bring in, Rocha?
Just stop dropping Matt Hardy on his fucking head on the concrete.
Please stop doing that. I would appreciate that.
What do we got next here?
All right. So Paul Wight, aka the Big Show, aka the Giant, signed a term deal with All Elite Wrestling. He will be not only an in-ring competitor, that was confirmed. He will also be a lead commentator on AEW's new show, AEW Dark Elevation, where they will have some younger talent being displayed there. So that's always good. Yeah. So, Rocha, we'll start with you here. What do you think about the Big Show, Mr. Paul Wight in general? And what do you think of him joining AEW as a commentator and competitor?
Ladies and gentlemen, there was a thing that was said in the 90s, and it was said by three gentlemen, and they meant it. NWO for life. The Giant was one of the biggest switches and flips you've ever seen in the history of the NWO, and he was a great part of the NWO. I loved him being part of the NWO, and he's a guy who had to persevere for so long against the comparisons to Andre the Giant, where people like what's his face that hated being compared to Goldberg, Ryback, much respect to Ryback, had a lot of issues being compared to Goldberg, had a lot of issues being as other wrestlers being compared to other. It was always a problem. Paul Wight always found a way through it. Seemed like a genuinely funny guy. When they gave him gimmicks to do that were funny, he pulled it off. Losing to Mayweather, he pulled it off. Losing to Cena in one of the best matches Cena's ever had. All those things he's done for both companies, WCW and WWE. He shined a light, and he's won titles, won belts, done all those things, been part of great storylines. And now maybe it's his time. He saw that there wasn't much from him to do with WWE, so he's signed a long-term contract at AEW. Maybe there's a few more matches for him. Why not? If Sting can do it at 61 and the Big Show is younger than Sting, certainly you can bring the Big Show to be a part of any kind of angle you want to play with. Taz being involved in angles now as well. Anything you want to play with. I like him being a commentator. I think he's a funny guy, so he'll probably be on it and make funny comments on the spur of the moment, depending on what's happening in the ring. That excites me on so many levels. And I have a genuine affection for this dude. Hated his Netflix show. That was rightfully canceled. But overall, I think the guy gives a great interview. He's got fun energy. And I got nothing against the guy. I'm concerned what your issues are with Paul Wight and the Big Show going over to AEW.
What makes you think I have issues with Paul Wight?
Can't stop talking about your issues with Paul Wight. You literally put a GIF of you falling asleep when one of our fans tweeted us that this was happening. So what are your issues with Paul Wight, pal?
I have just one question for Paul Wight. Just real quick. Like he and I can get intimate here. I'll get close to the camera. How dare you? How dare you leave WWE? Not necessarily you didn't leave him in the lurch, but how do you leave WWE after everything that Vince McMahon has done for you, sir?
Jeez.
Not only television shows, but movies, bringing him over from WCW is this big deal. It's Paul Wight. It's the big show. We're going to put everything behind him. And what do? You bite the hand that feeds. And that's Vince McMahon. I'm not talking about just right now. I'm talking about when they wanted to run with the big show and make him the biggest thing in professional wrestling, bigger than Andre, definitely more athletic than Andre. In the ring, there's no comparison. The big show is 100% better than Andre the Giant ever thought about being. The thing is, when it comes to legacy and it comes to character, you look at Paul Wight, you look at Andre the Giant, and there also is no comparison because Andre the Giant will always be remembered over the big show. Not his fault.
Right.
Not his fault. It was a different time. It's just a different kind of set of rules there. Yep. My problem with the big show or Paul Wight or whatever you want to call him this week is so many missed opportunities by his own devices showing up. And I feel weird for saying this, but showing up overweight, out of shape, has to go back to OVW to lose weight and get back into ring shape. Not once, several times had to happen. So that stalls his pushes. That stalls everything that the company wanted to do to get behind the big show and make him as big as they possibly could. It stalled. It stalled everything that he wanted to do. By the time that the big show was ready and cut up and in great shape to do things, WWE didn't want to push him to the top. They put him with Floyd Mayweather. Yes, they did do that when he lost a bunch of weight and came in great shape. And that was cool. That was a fun match and everything. But they didn't want to run with him after that. Yeah. Like they weren't going to run with the big show after that. And there's been so many times where I see the big show on TV and I don't understand it. I'm just like, okay, this dude doesn't bring anything. All he does is lose. And I get it. It's like we're going to beat the big guy, the giant, and we're going to put dudes over. Is this what we want to do? But why was he even there doing that in the first place? It just doesn't make sense. I can't say that I've ever enjoyed a match where I was like, oh, the big show's coming. I'm so excited. Like it just doesn't work for me. I'm sure in personal life he's a great guy. I'm sure he's wonderful with children. I'm sure he's an excellent friend. But I just don't understand any kind of hype or gratitude for the big show. I don't get it. And by the way, in the NWO, he was one of the worst members. He absolutely sucked in the NWO and should never have been in there.
How dare you? Choke slams galore. How dare you?
I look at Big Show and I just see missed opportunity. That's what I look at. I think he was booked the best when he was in the WWE version of ECW, when he was the ECW champion, and they booked him like a giant. Yeah. He fought like Batista and these big guys, and he would dominate them. Mm-hmm. And it made a lot of sense because he's a friggin' giant. He's an athletic giant, and that's how he should have always been booked, not crying in the ring, not doing all this other stupid crap like they booked in sumo matches. Is it a nature versus nurture? Is it half creative issue, half Big Show issue? Is it all Big Show? Who deserves more to blame? That's a debate for another time. Sure. But I just look at Big Show and I just see missed opportunity. That's all I see.
All right, fair point. I understand your point of view and your feelings about it, certainly. But I never thought Big Show had that personality to be the man. Even in WCW, when he would show the more aggressive streak, when he had the longer hair and the mullet and all of that, I thought certainly he had an aggressive streak, but he never had that thing that Andre had. And I'll make the comparison not in a negative way towards Big Show, but more to show like the difference. Yes, the Big Show was better in the ring, but Andre had that presence, right? The Big Show is actually, how can I say this correctly? He's more younger. He's a younger energy in a big man's body. So he doesn't exude that kind of menace that when Andre turned heel, it was legitimately fucking scary. It was not necessarily legitimately scary when Big Show turned heel, although he could smack the head right off your shoulders in real life. It just never felt real, the menace. And I think you need to have that when you're a guy that big. And Andre always had that, even with a limited skill set as a wrestler, he could scare the shit out of you. And so that mattered. And I think he never had that. And because he never had that, he never got the right booking or the pushes and all these things you're talking about, because for him, probably, and I'm guessing, I'm only speculating, behind the scenes, maybe he didn't have that aggressive nature to go get these storylines, to go put himself in these positions. Maybe he's just a big dude who would always relied on being a big dude, and he could always get to where he needed to get to and play out the storylines as Vince wanted them played out. But, Andre pushed for certain storylines. Andre agreed. Vince had to come to Andre and pitch storylines to Andre. That's the difference there between those two gentlemen. And yes, I hear you, missed opportunities, but I think both sides carry the blame on that. And maybe Paul is absolutely happy with what happened with his career and how it went, because I hope he is all these years later, bro.
I hope he is.
Yeah.
I'm just telling you from my perspective. I see the Big Show. I see missed opportunity, but that doesn't mean that he didn't do a good job with what he had. It's just, I don't know. It could have been more. It could have been more. Could have been way more.
I respect that. Let's hit some super chats here before we wrap up. Aaron, real quick. Leech96 says, this is Moxley's gimmick, though. He's a crazy person. I know Renee Young isn't happy, but how do you know? You talk to Renee Young? Come on. I respect you, Leech, but come on. I agree with Aaron for the barbed wire steel cage like they had in WWE with JBL and the Big Show. Oh, okay. All right.
You agree with that? See? Yeah. Oh, well, yeah, I said it. Of course I agree with that.
Fair enough. Leach also says AEW definitely is starting to smell of what WCW is doing, but I wish them luck with what they are doing. I think it's a little bit different because their main top talent are not people they brought over necessarily that were at the end of their run in the WWE, right? I mean, Moxley was still very much involved in the Shield stuff on what in or out, very much involved in their title pictures. Moxley was in his prime when he came over, kind of like what Nash and Hall were like in that way, but they've also fostered a lot of talent through their ranks that have come up and done well. So I don't think they're doing, Tully's not wrestling, for fuck's sake. Arn's not really wrestling.
Tully's wrestling next week, actually.
Ridiculous. Taz is a mouthpiece. So, yes, they brought in these kind of older wrestlers, but they're not really part of their main programs to win belts or anything like that, like WCW did with Randy Savage and Hogan and other people. It worked out with Hogan, but the other people, Rick Rude, Piper, Bret Hart, didn't really work out in the end. So, yes, they're bringing these people, but they're not giving them main spots. I think that's the difference. What do you think?
I agree with you 100%. I see a lot of people saying that, it's WCW light. It's not, though, because, like you said, they're not pushing them to the main event. Sting is in a lower card match. It's not like they're putting the Big Show against Kenny Omega right now. That's not going to happen. So, I see what you mean, and I think that people are going to absolutely lose their mind when the first AEW person jumps ship to WWE. People are going to lose it. They're just going to, what the hell? It's going to be great. It's going to be great.
All right. Gramash says WCW tag team champs Sting and the Giant are back. Yeah. Sting and the Giant.
No thanks. Christian Ramos said he's sending a Streamlabs. So check that.
Check it right now. Christian Ramos said, hey guys, I don't know if you're familiar with half of the former Impact tag team champs, Ethan Page, who's been a free agent for a long time now. I thought he'd be showcased already during the WWE's NXT showcase on social media. Do you think he's AEW bound maybe at Revolution?
That's a good question. I like All Ego. He's actually in a Facebook group that I'm in. I've had a lot of interactions with him. He's a great guy.
Nice.
Big fig collector too, so we got that in common. But I think that there's something going on with him in his contract or something, because he had this thing with Impact where they really screwed him over on the way out, and I think he's been off of social media here and there. So I don't know what exactly is going on, but I think something is preventing him from going to a different company at the moment. Okay. But I would more than likely expect and predict that he would show up in NXT over AEW. I think that's where he wants to be, and I think that's what I think WWE would be a better fit for him than AEW.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you at all. It just seems like that's more of where he might be going. All right, let's wrap it up there. Thank you all so much for joining us on this edition of Strong Style. So great to see so many of y'all here in the chat. Thank you so much for the Streamlabs and Super Chats today. And remember to like and share this video as much as possible. Get people on the Strong Styles train. Get us back over 1,000 views. Really important as we build this brand out. I think we're doing a damn good show. Aaron feels the same way. So we need to get a little more eyes, a little more attention on us for sure. So, Aaron, what do we got to tell them?
You can find me on Twitter at only Aaron Turner. You can find me there. This is my golf voice, very slow and prodding. And guys, I mean, come on, give me some more followers too. Like I've had like 2 follower gain in the past week. Help me out. Rocha and I are going to start doing stuff on Stereo. Yeah. So you need to download the Stereo app. This is not a plug for Stereo. It's just something you need to download. And it's this kind of, it's like a new thing. I don't know who owns stock in Stereo that's getting all these shows going, but it's wild. I get a notification like every 2 seconds that somebody I know is on Stereo. It's pretty wild. So yeah, check that out, and we'll keep you abreast of when we go live and stuff like that. But it's a new outlet, a new place to showcase our talents. So download the Stereo app.
Where can they find you on the Stereo app? Same place? At
only Aaron Turner on the Stereo app. You can find me there. You'll find my little emoji with the backwards hat, like my trademark. So yeah, you can find Rocha with his cowboy hat.
That's for sure. At the Rocha Says for sure. So follow me there on Stereo and on Instagram and Twitter there as well. And get my followers up too. I've lost a couple of 100 followers recently, and I don't understand why. So please come aboard, for God's sakes.
Must be Dave Meltzer fans.
Oh, that's 2 years ago or a year and a half. Anyway, yeah. So thanks so much. Please remember to like this video and leave a comment down below as well. For those of you watching it later, a lot of you do watch after we record. Please leave a comment and let us know what you think about all the topics we covered and your points of views on what you think is going to happen at WrestleMania and what you think how AEW Revolution is going to go and that cage match, and what your feelings are about Paul Wight and Sasha Banks' words as well about her journey through her depression and her mental health struggles. Incredible words from her for sure. All right. Much love to all of you. Take care of yourselves. Make sure you practice your social distancing, wear your mask, be safe, and then come back and join us next week for another live episode of Strong Style. Much love to you.
No death matches. No death matches ever.
Come on.